At Relentless Digital, we believe in breaking barriers and driving innovation. That's why we are extremely proud to sponsor the Power Women of the Trades podcast, supporting the voices and success of women in the home service industry. Together, we're creating a future where talent shines regardless of gender and diversity thrives. Join our journey at relentless-digital.com and always be relentless in your pursuit of excellence.
This episode of Power Women of the Trades is also brought to you by Forrest Perry of Forrest Perry Digital Marketing. Want to generate more leads for your service business? Trust his team to deliver quality new customer leads and protect your brand online. Check out perrymarketing.com today.
Hello everyone. We want to give a quick shout out to our amazing partner, Rilla, the game changer in the home service industry. Rilla's virtual ride-along software means no more physical ride-alongs. With Rilla, you can coach your team virtually 100 times faster and boost your close sale rates like never before. Don't miss out. Join the movement today and watch your sales soar. Visit rilla.com/PWT to learn more.
Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Power Women of the Trades with Cassie and Heather. Today we have Jenna Sholinder with North Frasier Plumbing with us. We are super excited to welcome you to the show and learn all about you. You were pre-show telling us you're in Canada. Is that right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah. So my husband and I started the company 7 years ago. We were both in trades for about 10 years before that. He's the journeyman plumber and I was a project manager for the same company, and we were finding that we were commuting more than we were seeing our kids. We live a little bit out of Vancouver, so about like an hour and a half drive in the mornings, and he was getting home after she would go to sleep, and so we decided to start our own company kind of out in our Fraser Valley area. Some of your listeners might know where that is, but about an hour and a half outside of Vancouver, and just kind of really serve this area and keep everybody, all of our customers close to home. And it's been great. We've doubled year over year. We've added new services. We've got a team of 8 now, and we're still going.
How long have you guys been in business for yourself?
We've been in business for, it'll be 8 years this year.
Okay. I think you said that, and then I think I lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys do primarily residential, commercial. What is your mix?
We do mostly big custom homes. We try to provide like the whole service package. So gas and plumbing and boilers, radiant in-floor heat, and we sub out HVAC as well, so we can kind of do the whole mechanical picture. And then we do some light commercial, and there's a lot of farms in our area, so we do like greenhouse watering systems and horse waterers and things like that. Even things for the winter and specialty systems. But I'd say like custom houses are the bread and butter.
So when you say custom houses, are you saying it's a new construction?
New construction. We do renovations as well, but I'd say primarily new construction, like $1 million to $5 million houses.
That's nice. Awesome. I want to talk about that. Well, okay, that says a little bit because Heather and I both have like past trauma with new construction.
For real. Yes.
And now also, you know, I don't know Canada's economics and all of that, but like in Oklahoma, but in America, it's hard to make any money in new construction. And so it's like that obviously there's people that do it and there's people that have to do it for that to work. And I think that the tides are turning there, hopefully. But I know
to know actually a little bit about your business model with the new construction, because the thing that we've seen in the United States is that the contractors here want the lowest price, the fastest job done. They don't plan very well for setting up the schedule. And you said you had a previous background in project management, so I'm sure that you're familiar with staying on, on track with the schedule. But one of the things that we saw here is not only do they want the lowest price for, the best bang for their buck, but then there's also tending to be delays in getting paid, in addition to, having your team, whether that be plumbing or HVAC, going out to do their portion of the work and then the builder isn't ready. So have you run into anything like that? Because those are some of the big things that kind of traumatized Cassie and I over the last 10, 15 years in regards to NewCon.
Yeah, I would say we run into every single one of those problems. I think the key to our success has been our relationships. So we have long-standing relationships with a lot of the big Fraser Valley builders in this area. And we've gotten to a point where they know, and been lucky to do so, they value our contribution and our quality, and we're able to charge a little bit more to do that. But there's definitely still the same things that you guys are running into down there. Budgets are tight, especially COVID was great for business. I will say we were all like, there was more work than we could handle, and everybody raised their prices kind of to accommodate. But since then, and the interest rates and everything going up and the economy slowing down, the last year has been challenging, and we've had to really put our foot down and say, like, we know our value. And if you want to hire someone else, absolutely, we understand. This is our price. And if we do less work for a higher price range, then that's okay with us too. It just means less coordination on the back end for us. So we save money there. And so it's been a bit of a mind shift, I guess, for us over the last maybe even 6 months, that we were trying to take on everything for a long time. And we just sort of decided that we wanted to raise our price and focus on the customers that were willing to pay it. So we definitely run into the same things, though. Scheduling conflicts, that's definitely a problem. I think that'll be construction for everybody. I don't think you can get away from that necessarily, but we've been lucky to find some really good builders that are super organized. And we really have like 5 main customers, and they have the market cornered out here, and they're willing to pay us what we're worth. So it's just, we've kind of got this little like niche sweet spot and they're all quite organized. And so we don't run into too many delays and things like that, but we're trying to be as flexible as we can and schedule accordingly. So give like a window of when we'll arrive to the next job sort of thing.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. And I appreciate that, because that was the biggest thing, I think, for us, is sending a crew out to a site and then they're not ready for you. And, what do you do with that crew? How do you keep them busy?
Yeah. Frustrating when that happens.
There's just, like you said, you have come in the last 6 months of finding, like cutting back if you have to. For us, when we came into that spot of, we know what we're worth, we know what we can do, we know that we're doing good work, etc. When that happened, when we made that realization, for us, the only way to demand was to exit new construction. We had to exit because, and I say especially in our area, but I think it's a national thing, it was just always a race to the bottom, and we are chasing, and it's almost like, I don't want to use the drug, I don't know how to explain that, but it's like you are chasing something because you see the revenue, right? And then you're like, okay, well, we can do this and we can turn it, but it was never operating that way for us. And new construction almost bankrupted us. Wow. Yeah. And so that's where I say that we have it comes from a place of trauma for us. Yeah. Now there's a whole story through all of that with us. And like I said, I never want to be discouraging, because especially anyone who's listening, I hope that, I'm sure we'll label this podcast as like you and the new construction stuff. And I hope people who are doing new construction find motivation and can do it. Not everyone can do it. And it definitely takes a special operator that can handle.
It has to be structured appropriately. And I think the foundation of, like, Cassie said, new construction is always going to be a thing. It's always going to be necessary. But I think on the trade partner side of it, where you're not the GC, you're not the home builder, you're not the guy that's in charge of the schedule, finding those relationships that work, setting your expectations of what you expect as far as the schedule goes and the price goes, because new construction is it's not just Oklahoma. It was here in the Pacific Northwest too. It's a race to the bottom, because you're chasing, if it's not set up right and you don't have the relationships built with the builders, or the builder has something go sideways and then they start dragging out payments, you're chasing that next job to try and get everything paid. And it's kind of like, at some point you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and then you hit a brick wall and it all catches up to you, just like you were saying through COVID. We saw record interest rates for new housing or for mortgages. And, we're fighting against that now, where, people were demanding ridiculous prices for homes because they could, and people could afford it because the interest rates were 2% and 3%. And now we're back up in the 7s, and the housing market has slowed down. And I think it's right-siding itself. It's not the housing crash that we saw in 2008. And I don't know how that housing crash affected Canada, but I know here it pretty much bankrupted every builder in the area. And so coming into late 2022, when the market started to slow down, we saw interest rates go up. We saw, that I think those of us who lived through that crash crash of 2008, got a little nervous. I know I did. I was like, okay, what's really going to happen with housing prices? Because we saw houses grossly overpriced and they were selling for that. And now with interest rates, the housing prices are kind of shifting back down to what we would consider normal. But we also, with new construction, that's going to affect new construction as well, as what can the builder sell that house for now? How long is that house going to sit on the market? And is it going to delay a contractor who's working on that particular job from getting paid? So I think this is actually a really good focus to talk about, because I think down here, new construction has kind of gotten this like, oh, we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
It does,
For sure.
Do you find that is there anybody doing it? There must be somebody. We don't, yeah.
Typically, like in our area specifically, they're really smaller contractors. Most often, I mean, if my local people are listening, I'll likely upset them, but they are hiring unlicensed people because that's the only way that you can do it. If for HVAC specific, I'm talking more on HVAC, and plumbing's the same. I think plumbing and electric could get more out of it. I don't know why HVAC, it was just such a race to the bottom. And I mean, there were times that we would get bids that we were like, this company would be lucky to make that like $300.
You're not, there's a bit here too.
Mm-hmm. You're just like, what in the world? And like when that tax bill comes or the accident happens and you flood a house or so many things happen, and there are a lot of people that don't account for that in those bids. And then, so what happens is we get into this recycle. You see contractors like file for bankruptcy, likely because now they have a new name, and it's the same people, but it's just like constant. And it's like, at what point, I talked to someone recently, they were wanting to get out of the industry, like retire. And it was someone that we wanted to know if we were interested in buying the business. And, with us not having in new construction, there wasn't really much interest in us purchasing, but he's ready to retire and didn't have a retirement because he, for so long, had just focused on that cheaper option. You know what I mean? And so it's like, because I think that most people, when they go out on their own, they think, I'm going to do it different and cheaper.
Yes.
That's cheaper comes with a cost.
So we're sort of the opposite of that. We wanted to be, and we did for a while at the beginning. I think there's this fear that no one's going to hire you. So while we were building up our name, we certainly took everything on and we tried to make it work in terms of budget for people. And we were finding that the only thing that was changing was our profit. And it wasn't working for us. So we had to get really clear on that in the last 6 months. We've raised our prices about 25%. And some of our long-standing customers had decided to go with other options. And we like to call them the minivan plumbers, which is the people that are charging like a third of what we charge, and they drive around in a minivan, and we wonder how they even afford to live. I still can't understand that business model, but that isn't who I want to compete with. So I feel like it's this mindset shift, right? That knowing your value, and then you'll attract the right people to fit that. And it doesn't work in every market, I'm sure. Like, we're lucky in a sense, there's not a lot of plumbing companies out here. So when they try these cheaper options, they inevitably find there's leaks and issues and bad attitudes and all the things. And they always come back. So we probably lost 10 or 15 jobs. And there were definitely periods of time where, oh, what are we doing here? This is like very uncomfortable. And we just decided to carry on, keep our price what it was. And we really didn't have very much downtime for our team. We just hired another person, because I think once you decide, this is my value, I know I can do this. I'm sure it's easy for me to do this because we are on the other side. And for anybody that's like in that period of discomfort thinking, I have to discount myself to compete, I really want to encourage them they don't. If you did 5 jobs, 100,000, or 100 at 5,000, you're going to get a lot, or you're going to work a lot less for a lot more, right? So you'd have to attract less work. That's kind of how. So we've structured things too to try to go after those more like high-end builders that really appreciate the quality and appreciate the customer service. We're actually a little bit different here. HVAC is the most profitable because we have Fortis, which is kind of like our local gas supplier here, who has put in a bunch of rebates for using heat pumps. Do you guys do heat pumps?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So those are like, you get, I think it's $10,000 back. So basically all the HVAC contractors here are just raking it right now. We're not primarily, we sub out our HVAC. I wish you guys were here. Heat pumps, but that is the most profitable area, ironically, in our neck of the woods. So I don't know what your hosting costs either are, but it's like you can't build a house for less than $1 million in this area.
Most businesses' online presence is boring. And by being boring, they're losing out on potential sales and customers. Being interesting and exciting is what draws customers in and gets them to buy from you. But it's hard to be interesting online when you're focused on running your business and taking care of your customers. It doesn't have to be this way. We have the key to unlocking the solution to your problem. Key Heart Marketing can help take your business from boring to brilliant on social media. We can vouch for them. They run our podcast socials. If you want to have a strong social media presence that allows customers to know, like, and trust you, connect with Key Heart Marketing at keyheartmarketing.com.
Well, yeah, you said for sure that you were like, $1 to $5 million. Isn't it crazy? I'm sure you can relate to this, that you're talking about $1 to $5 million houses, and you find people that will spend. I read something in one of these groups I was in that the customer beat them up on the heat and air and wanted like the lowest price, and they did it. But then he found out that they spent $160,000 on their fireplace. Like that blows my freak mind. Because the wrong contractor could burn your house down. The wrong contractor could put the wrong heat and air in your home and buckle all your floors.
Yes.
All of those beautiful floors or those beautiful things that you're doing, the wrong contractor could do that. But people want to hire the cheaper person so they can spend the big money on those granite slabs or those light fixtures, that the things that are visual, not realizing that all that crumbling down when you hire the wrong person.
When behind the walls isn't working. Yeah. They want the stuff that looks nice on the outside. So it looks like they have a lot of money and they would invest in these showpieces, right? But if what's behind the walls is not done properly, everything else comes crumbling down.
Well, and if it's not done properly, you have to pretty much tear the house apart. You have to tear out the sheetrock. You have to, doing a whole cut-in to do like ductwork replacement is not cheap.
No.
And yeah, that's a good point, Cassie, because it's interesting to me that people will really focus on the things that they see and not the things that they can't see, but yet they'll spend the money on those things you can see and be miserable with the whole mechanical, HVAC, plumbing, electrical portion of their house. That's really where the mindset of a builder and a potential homeowner should start, but you're not wrong.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we are the ones behind the walls, right? But I feel I've enjoyed letting some of those clients go and some of those contracts that I really wanted at the time and watching them struggle and watching them have fluids. And we've gone back to fix, mistakes that other plumbers have made multiple times. And it's taken 7 years for some of these contractors that we work with regularly to realize that, okay, maybe it's better to spend that extra 10, 15,000 up front so that we're not spending 30 to fix mistakes that were unnecessary. So it's taken time, and we've had to let go of things that we really wanted to have, projects that we were excited to do, and we just couldn't compete with people that were, offering their services at 30% what we were offering. I still can't wrap my brain around.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yeah. And we do have a staff in the office and things like that, which some of these people are, it's just literally a minivan in their tool belt. And we'll never be able to compete with that. And honestly, the people that want the minivan level of service and the people who don't care about the stuff behind walls, I don't want those houses. I want to do Now I want to take pictures of the plumbing in the walls and post that to Instagram because it looks so nice and neat and clean. And those are the people I want. So,
well, the people that want the person in the minivan,
yes,
that's not your customer because they're not going to see the value in your price. They're not going to see the value in the craftsmanship that tradesman has and the quality of the employees that you hire to do that work.
100%. That's exactly it. Yeah.
So, I think we could talk about that forever because I just so much emotion and experience and knowledge that we want to share and help others. But speaking of that, I was reading through your bio about some other things that you do with real estate and empowering women. And so can you tell us more about like other focuses that you have in your day to day?
Yeah. So I do volunteer on a couple of boards nearby. So one is Community Futures, which helps small businesses and locally just start their business. There's a government funded program where they can sort of learn about business ownership for a year. And we review their business plan halfway through that program and give them advice and encouragement and And so that's a really great program that I'm a part of. And then I just joined the Housing Association marketing board here because I love marketing. And so that's like kind of the two things I do when I have time. And then in the process of, and I don't have too much to share on it yet, but starting a not-for-profit for girls in the trades. I want to get them when they're young and go speak at high schools and things and encourage girls to start joining the trades because I think they provide a completely different perspective. And even just talking to you both about the service that you would like to offer your clients, I just feel like there's such an opportunity for women in the trades. And it's still such a small percentage of, I think I actually wrote this down. So I looked it up before we talked, but it's only 3% of everybody in the trades in the US is a woman. It's a little bit higher here. I think we're up to 5, but still it's insane that there's that much of a difference. And I want to encourage them.
Yeah, I recently spoke to a group of girls at a tech school that are making a decision of like what they were going to do next year or when they graduate. Like, are they going to go to a skilled trade program or they had all the options, and I was talking to them and it was after my session of speaking, we had little booths and talking to some of those girls about the opportunity in the trades. It was just so interesting to watch their minds think and process and like, oh yeah, I can do that, and it's crazy because, one of the things I said was like, who here has ever fixed anything in your life? And like, raise your hand. And like, everyone can say, I fixed something, and now think about how you could do what you could fix and inside your home and those types of things. And we had brought 2 of our technicians with us, 2 of our female technicians. Yeah. Our 2 female technicians who got to talk to them and they got into, opened them the cabinet of the furnace and was showing them all of that. It's just like, there's so much, we've done a lot of work and especially in like our area, I can see the fruits of our work because we're constantly talking about it and I can see that, but it's still like, I can only do so much in my area. Right. And I think sometimes we try to go like fix the world, but we can't. We just got to talking in our areas and just showing, change the narrative of what's capable out there or possible. And
even this podcast will do that, just showing what women are capable of. I mean, I still get a lot of ignorant comments on my Instagram. That's okay. I'm okay with it. It just creates the conversation. I just want to lead by example and show other girls that there's other opportunities out there.
Absolutely. And, we're no stranger to the stupid comments. I've been called Daddy's Money on TikTok, on our Power Women of the Trades TikTok, Daddy's Money. I was like, listen, let me do a lesson on that for you. I have had 0 money from my father. I have trauma and he's dead, like respectfully. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like living in like, I don't have like this great story. And people who see us doing work in the trades are just like, oh, let's put this different narrative, this different perspective on top of them of like, no, like just let it be what it is. And that we're all just trying to empower others to do this. Like for the rest of our life, we are going to need heat and air, plumbing and electric. AI can come in and there's great things that AI can do, but it's a long ways away from AI installing in homes. It's a long ways away from those things. Like, but regardless, we will still have to have electric, water and heat and air. Like you should, like the customers who call screaming, haven't had heat or air conditioning for 30 minutes, they wouldn't make it. And so it's just like the trades are essential, protected. Like this is forever. And so why wouldn't you want to jump into a career that you knew that you could have an opportunity no matter where you went?
Well, and I think, those comments are going to continue to happen. The narratives that I think certain people in the trades want to continue to push, but it's getting squashed pretty quickly, because those of us who have fought our way to the top in the trades to be here to speak out for women, we've been through hell. Yeah. I mean, I've been in the trades 28 years. I'll tell you, 28 years ago, I was told you're never going to be more than a secretary.
Yes, it's always a secretary too.
An admin. And, women are strong. Women bring a completely different perspective to this industry. We are more emotional than men, but men have an emotional side too. So when we can bring that, there's value in that. Some of us are very mechanically capable. Just because we hold a different gender doesn't mean we can't turn a wrench. And I think that, that's being spoken out about enough now where women are going like, wait, I could do this. I mean, I have a friend here locally and she owns a complete remodeling business. She's a female. She's a one-man show and she can remodel a bathroom just as good as any guy I've ever seen.
Right. And maybe better because the attention to detail is probably a little different, because that too, because why aren't we just paying attention attention to like the capabilities of and like the differences. Like it's okay for us as male and female to be different and have differences and have strengths that are
I
different.
think it's an antiquated stigma.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
I know back in the 90s, I was like, watch me. Like,
Yeah.
Call me a secretary one more time.
Yeah.
Right? That's
not going to come across a conference room table.
It's actually nothing that gets me going quite as much as ignorant comment on Instagram from
kills me.
It absolutely.
Yeah, I'm like, you have no clue what you're doing for me right now when you start running your mouth. Like it literally fires me up. That's so
Well, it says more about them, and usually they end up getting attacked. So let the comments fly. I don't care. Cassie doesn't need it. Cassie loves it.
I like pour salt on her. I'm like, let's keep talking. Like you're really helping my engagement on this right now. But
Let me put you on blast everywhere I can.
yeah. So what do you see in the future for Jenna? What are you doing in the next few years?
Well, I would like to keep expanding. We've been hiring 2 to 3 people a year since we started. So it's just growth. We'd like to build an HVAC side of the business because again, I know you guys have been through it, the ringer down there, but market here is really HVAC focused. So that would be great to do. And, I'd like to invest in real estate. I know you touched on that a little bit, but some commercial real estate around here and, provide that rental space for other businesses that are in the same industry. That would be great. So
yeah, that's awesome. Well, Jenna, it's been really nice to talk to you and get to know you. Like we always say, like, we're so proud of you. And I say that without even having to ask Heather, like we are proud of you doing the work in our space. We see you and keep doing what you're doing, keep sharing and showing others what's out there.
And I think this has been a great conversation too, to focus a little bit on the new con piece because it doesn't get talked about a whole lot because of the stigma that goes around with, like how can you make money in new con? And I appreciate your perspective in bringing that like slow and steady approach. And I think that, as long as you keep in mind that plumbing and electrical is kind of steady, where HVAC is very weather driven, but on a new con type situation, it's more slow and steady or, consistent than a residential retrofit situation where, like Cassie always says, we're part-time weathermen, like paying attention to when is it going to be hot? When is it going to be cold? But I think you could add that piece to your business easier than you think you can. As long as you've got a stable foundation built with the plumbing and electric side or the plumbing side, adding another trade, it could be advantageous for your business in the next step.
Yeah, absolutely. Diversification it's huge. And I think that is one thing I didn't touch on. We do offer some service as well. That is a side of the business I'd like to build, but I actually find it more difficult. So hats off to you both.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think that's just like we're saying the differences in operators and like what your experiences and what you are comfortable with managing, and that's okay. I think it's good to know our strengths and what we can do great at and not try to take everything on at once.
That's true.
Absolutely, for sure. Well, it was nice to meet you, and we hope to maybe catch up with you sometime in the years at an event or something, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, guys.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review in Apple and make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.